Hi, I'm Sarah Garrecht Gassen of the Arizona Daily Star. We're here with State Senator Steve Farley at the Modern Streetcar Car Barn. So Steve, State Senator, District 9.
And public artist.
And public artist, sorry.
I like that better than senator these days.
Yes, I don't blame you. You are kind of the public face of the genesis behind the modern streetcar in Tucson. This is something you've been working on for 14, 15 years. What is it like to stand here in front of, these things exist, they're real. What's that like?
Well, above all, I feel this overwhelming sense of gratitude. It's not just about me, although there were 5 of us at the beginning who came out of the 5th, 6th Street corridor group, where we saw a PowerPoint slide with the title, Obstacles to Throughput. And number 1 obstacle to throughput was pedestrians.
Because why would you want something to do with transportation, just pedestrians in the way?
Yes, exactly. It's all about vehicles, not people. So I turned to Clegg Van Slyke III, who was there on that group also, and I said, this isn't right. Let's see if we can create something together. We got together Gene Kaywood from Old Pueblo Trolley, who's been working for decades on trying to get rail transit to Tucson. Tony Haswell, who is the founder of Amtrak in the country, who also lives in Tucson. And
wait, the founder of Amtrak?
Amtrak, yeah, he lives in Tucson.
Lives in Tucson.
You should interview him, he's amazing.
Does Amtrak even stop in Tucson anymore?
Yeah, it does. Okay. Sunset Limited stops right here.
I thought it did, but then I thought we got bypassed.
No, it's still here. And they're actually trying to make it better so you can actually go up and down to Phoenix on the rail.
Excellent. Okay, sorry.
That's another, okay, anyway. And we then went and talked to Jim Glock, the Deputy Director of Transportation at the time, and showed him a video about light rail and how that could bring extra capacity. You didn't just have to widen roads. He said to us after watching the video, I think you're right. Tucson is great for rail transit. I just don't think people want it. So then I turned to the other people in that room and said, we're going to create an organization called Tucsonans for Sensible Transportation, and we're going to prove that people want it. And we went all over town for a year with an old overhead projector. And speaking of trains,
speaking of modes of transportation,
that's a good thing. There's all sorts of, this is multimodal Tucson now. Yes. And we went all over town to every group that would have us and talked about the benefits of high capacity transit to Tucson's economy, to our social life, our quality of life. And we went from there, and we've been struggling back and forth in political fights and convincing people. We've converted former skeptics to allies, and it could not have happened without the entire group of people that have been working on this.
Did you think it was going to happen?
I always knew sooner or later it was going to happen. The question is, would people in the group be persistent enough and patient enough to make it work?
Do you think it would happen in your lifetime?
Well, Gene Kaywood was worried. He's a little older than me. I knew it would because I could see this trend happening around the country. And I knew the benefits of what would happen. And it was worth fighting for because Tucson is an incredible city. We have an unfortunate history sometimes of studying things to death and never carrying out the plans. We tear each other down too much. And we're much better than that. So I knew that we were possible. We could get done, and I knew the benefits that would come from it. And that fired me and a lot of other people internally so that we could get through this entire struggle.
But there's also been an awful lot of negativity. People talk, pie in the sky, Steve Farley, what a dreamer, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
I remember Mike Chihawk called me on his editorial page right after the RTA election, trashing me and the streetcar in particular.
Right, you were the butt of a lot of jokes, I have to say.
I got thick skin.
Did you have thick skin going into it, or is that something you developed?
I think I've always known that it's when I'm doing something that I know is right, that people are going to throw things at you, but it's worth being persistent and carrying it out. It's never been about me and how I feel.
Right.
It's about doing what's best for the entire community, and that's why, being in the legislature, you got to have thick skin. And that'll happen after this. And that's the thing I want to emphasize is that the whole politics thing is something I never considered until getting involved in trying to change the community from the outside, being pretty successful, and then somebody saying you might be good at this professionally.